Hello everyone, welcome back to another pastel painting video. As you can see, I've got my sketchbook out and we are back making another painting. So you'll have seen, have I done the video for this one? I think I've done the video for this one. Hopefully you guys have seen the video for this one. I feel like I'm going mad sometimes. And therefore you know what is coming. So let's make a start. I'm Ginger. I'm a soft pastel artist and crafter in the Highlands in Scotland, and you're here to watch me paint, and you're welcome to join in and create your own works and follow me step by step if you want. I love to see your results, and I love any questions and comments in the line below. So let's dump that out the way first. You wonder what the noise is? It's the stainless steel pot that I make the dye solutions in to create the, well, it's the lake pigment solutions for creating the pigments. So, but you'll see more of that later. Anyway, we have my trusty pencil case of doom, various paint brushes. I've got water on one side, isopropanol, rubbing alcohol on the other. I've got kitchen towel paint brushes and a selection of pastels which I used to create the sketch. Minus 3, which I've just pulled out just because it's a slightly different colour in the sea. It's more of a green tone, which I didn't have in the last set. So my usual tactic, I will start with the charcoals, map out where we're going, get the tonal sketch down, and then start applying the colour on top. And no, we're going to go with the creator first. So I have two different types of sketch of charcoal, for those of you that don't know. My larger one, which is the Derwent XL. This is tinted charcoal, so this is the violet. Love this. Or what I often sketch with, but also makes a great foundation. This is, I don't know how well this will come out. You might be able to read it. Don't know if I can come closer. Will it allow you to read it? Don't know. It's struggling with that a wee bit. But it's basically, this is the creatorcolor compressed charcoal. This gives me a really gorgeous dark black. Way more black than most of the charcoals you can get because it's compressed, so it's great. And I've got black all over my fingers already. That did not take long. Right, so I'm going to start the creator just because I want some really nice line work in this. There's a lot more detail. I'm also going to try not to headbutt the camera. It is above my eye line this time and within forehead range. So yeah, I think I could maybe bring this down a wee bit. No, okay, right. It's a good thing anyway. Right, so let's start with so that's our first kind of outcropping of stone for the cliff, and then it comes up and goes this way. Another one there. Ooh. Where are we going with this? I'm kind of wondering. The one that comes up there and back. And here. Now, for those of you that are wondering, looking at the formation of this, it might seem familiar. And the reason for that is this is the same landscape I painted in the last painting, and this is just close up. So I walked down the beach and got closer to the landmass and where the river that comes out and joins the sea. So that's the stepped kind of cliff edge that you see as it comes out. I've got to stop saying as well, that doesn't help. And then what we see in the distance, I need to put this line in. Come on, line. Ooh, no, higher up than that. Like really high up. Let's go there. I'm aware that that's really high up, right? And then there was this rocky outcropping island bit that just was slightly separate to the land, but pretty close, and that's what we have here. Like that. And we have the same kind of sweep. I'm just going to use the edge of this. I'm going to come around curve and then back again. So the whole idea is that the sweep here with the dark bit brings you in, round and out to sea. Hopefully not literally. Right, so I'm just gonna roughly sketch in, that's where the high tide line is. There, so we have the darker wet sand on the edge, and then try to work out quite a large body of silt from the river here, and it kind of pulls lots of ways to here as it rounds there. Right, okay, now classic wet cliff edge. Wet bits are always at the bottom. It did have this weird line, like you can see I'm making these lines here, and that's the kind of wet tide line, but I'm not really sure I'm going to keep that in, to be honest. I wasn't sure I was going to keep it in the sketch, let alone this, so I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. Not particularly enamoured with the idea of having it slightly darker on the bottom. It just looked almost too false, probably because it was such a wonderfully straight line. But obviously it's a straight line for a reason. So, I don't know. I will consider, but the likelihood is I probably won't. So I'm just mapping dark sections of the rock. And then we've got kind of lights on the opposite side. So if you think the light's on this, coming this direction, the reason you've got all this in dark is because a lot of this is in shadow, and the light would be hitting the other side of these rocky outcroppings that stick out into the water. And the same with this, is most of the dark, it's mostly dark on this side. And then our wee island thing, there must be a proper name for these. It's mostly dark at the bottom because the sun's behind it, but because it's in the distance, it is getting more light on the sides of it than some other bits of it. So, right, how are we looking? Good. I'm just gonna kind of lightly put in these bits so I can work with them. Right, what are we thinking? Yeah, that'll do. I don't want to go overboard, spend too long, because you start getting into the details and you start fiddling. You start fiddling with it more and more and more until you get to a point where you've stopped actually focusing on the picture as a whole, and then your painting ends up really disjointed. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to add some water, good old water, which has a slight weird hint of green. I'll work out which bits I want the darkest. The bottom is quite dark, so I also want this bit that's sticking out quite dark. I just love coasts because they're so dramatic. There's no easy, gentle give and take. I don't know if you guys have ever seen images in Africa where you've got these vast deserts and sand dunes, and then suddenly they become a beach and there's water, there's sea, just miles of sea and endless horizon. And it's just, yeah, just something that's always drawn me in, really, is the way that the coast can be so dramatic in many different ways. I mean, when most people think of the word dramatic, they always think of it in a bad sense, and I like to think of dramatic in a good sense. So, you know, like I've just said about the whole desert suddenly become a beach in the ocean, that's not dramatic in the sense of I've just stabbed you, or I've just slapped you in the face, or I've just thrown you off a cliff. It's dramatic in the sense of it's a sudden change and it's not gentle. It's not gentle and it's not foreseen, but there is still a clash there, even if it's not like a blow to the face. A sudden change. I suppose that still doesn't make much sense, does it either? I know what I mean though. Hopefully you guys understand. Right, so that's our wet beach line, just coming in there, like that. And then we'll put our island in. It's not an island, I keep reminding myself it's not an island. Don't know what it is. Rocky, sticking up, outcroppy thing. Right, looking good so far. I just want to get some colour down on the beach and also the sky. You can see this paper, I don't know what it is, because this paper shouldn't have any issues with it, and on top of that it's had a good soak in the bath for 15 minutes. If anyone wants to know why my papers don't pucker as much as they probably should do, it's because all my papers take a bath before use. I chuck them into the bathtub, I fill the bathtub with water, I weight them down with some pebbles, leave it for 15 minutes, drain the bath, take them all up and then hang them to dry. Simples. That's probably trademarked, that comment, isn't it? That for a catchphrase. Huh, I wonder if they have trademarked that. How are we doing? Right, so we have a kind of sky, a sea, water-ish, and this, there we go. Right, I do need that to dry though, because that is quite wet, and when it's dry we'll come back to it and we will start layering up our pastels. Okay, we're back at it, and this is now dry, which is great because that's exactly what we want. So, first things first, I have that gorgeous dark blue-green that I was using in another piece, and I really want that to be the line for the sky and the sea, because it is such a gorgeous, and I want this quite a dark colour because it needs to really offset the beach, like that. Followed by this, which is, you know, our quantities, but it's a gorgeous green colour. And bear in mind, the more this comes down, the more that it's gonna. What the heck is that? Excuse me a second. Hey, bud. Chloe. I don't know what you're thinking, but that's definitely not what you're doing. No. Hey. Not sure what the cat was doing there. Something she shouldn't have been. Like, it was down here. This is where we start getting our lighter sea colour as it comes in, and also our red blue as it meets the river here. So something like that. Right, let's get some water down. Doesn't take much to lift this and just spread it as we come down into lines. Look at that. Right. And then as we come in, we pick up the red tone blue. I do want some of this on the wet sand layer as well, because it will have picked some of that tone up. And then like that. Some nice splats will help. Go mad! Right, that needs to dry and then we'll come back to it. Right, everything is dry. You can see the bits where I've splattered, this crazy line that just doesn't work, but we'll push that up a bit and then that will solve that problem. So we're dry, so let's make a start. I think first thing I want to do is map out this, get this sky down. Kind of like some clouds in the bottom part where it was lighter. So I'm gonna dare I risk it and just take this over? Yeah, let's do that. It's not 100% dry though. Oops, that's a problem. I thought it was. It is not. Why are you not dry? You're supposed to be dry. Look. What's that? Yeah, let's do that. You'll be dry now. Almost. We'll come back to you in a second. Right, anyway. Where are we going with this? We want it cloudy along the horizon. Need a fair bit of water to get this blue moving until I start getting into the lighter colours. And then I'll take the blue off the brush, start picking up this lighter colour. You can see the blue suddenly come through underneath, which is kind of what you want. And then we just mix like that. Because there's loads of blue on the brush, I can just do that. Now I'm mixing it in. It's just picking up. I'm just giving us blue splatters everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere because it's all over my sketchbook and everything now, but that will do, right? We'll see how that comes out in a minute. Should be interesting. Right, going overboard again. Let's let that dry. Right guys, hopefully you can see that, and you can see all the patterning that we've got from the splatters and the water, and we've got kind of the cloud gradient. It's not quite there. I still need to fix this horizon line, which realistically needs to come all the way down here, which is what I'm going to do with this now, because it's super annoying me, but that's fine. Because it means I can do some clouds. Like that. Yeah, like that. I quite like that, right? Oh, sorry, bumped the camera. No, I did. Sorry. Right. So, sky. Yeah, pretty much there. Quite like how that's come together. Right. Back to water. And water is supposed to be a reflection of sky, unless it's the sea, where the sea seems to do its own thing regardless. So we've already got quite a lot of the dark colour down. I don't think I need any more of it. This is quite a strong colour, which is why I'm only using it in the hard stick form. So this is a Conte, rather than do loads of this. So realistically, I should maybe consider putting a little bit of this in. Remember, I can take a lot of this off, so I'm not too fussed at the moment, but really getting it in there with my fingers. Like that. And then I'm gonna get my fingers wet. And just play with it. You know, little swirly lines. Like you're playing with finger paints. Interesting to see what happens when that dries now. Apart from the fact I now have very green fingers. Right, one thing I have not touched so far has been this beach. So this is what I'm going to start with. Now we've already got this. This is our wet sand. I do want to keep that with that pink tone like I did in the previous main painting. And just make sure we're getting those shapes, the curve there as it comes around and then comes this way. A little bit darker bit there. Right, I'm going to get our yellow. And we're just going to block that in. I also know there's some just tucking into these little corners where the rock formations are. Now it's great if you're doing more than one painting, but from different sections of the same location, you actually get to know the location better. So for example, I couldn't see very well in my original photograph. There was bits of sand in between each of the craggy bits in the rock face. But I know from the first photo that there is. So I can add that into the sketch and then add that in here, knowing that that is there. Like that. Just adding these lines in, because that's the direction. Just keep emphasizing this direction, because it really helps move the eye in the right direction. Let's bring that down a wee bit. Now, I want to add, yes I do. Thinking, do I want to add water? Yes. I don't add too much, but I do want to make sure that I'm getting this well bedded in. It's such a lovely colour. this drying? Yeah, that's drying. Taking a little bit of time, but it is drying. And then we'll see what we've got. Still quite a lot of water, a lot of pigment on there, and I'm not sure that's really what I want. Whether or not I should add some rubbing alcohol. Take some of that off. Let's have a look. Also, sorry, camera, also might give me a bit more texture, actually, doing it like that. Let me just I do want it lighter at the bottom, darker at the top. If I get any ideas. You know, there are some conventions of distance and light that you do still have to follow, unfortunately. Well, you don't have to. You can go absolutely all out there, but I wouldn't recommend it. How much of that have I taken off? I reckon. Well, let's let it dry and see. It should dry relatively fast. I mean, we'll see. You can see this colour, we're getting all the kind of colour into it now as it dries. It'll go lighter. I've lost all my speckling though. Can I get that back, do you reckon? Let's add some water. Well, I don't know. It's a good question. I need to just pick up this colour. Not quite. I'm also getting it everywhere I don't want it. That makes sense, really. Now, let's pick up some of this colour though while it's wet. Just at the bottom there. Well, we lost our speckling, which was a little annoying, but never mind. I've still got a lot of colour and a lot of texture in the water, but it does need to dry. So let's let it dry and come back to it. Okay, so it's dry and we've got this kind of flattened colour scheme across the board. I've still got some white patches that I must have missed, but actually as a whole, we're kind of getting there. Does mean, however, I can now start looking at this. I hate trying to grip small pastels. It's so problematic. Okay, right. That kind of gives us something to work with on that front. I think some of these are a little too in your face. I'm just going to soften them slightly. Paper is starting to buckle a wee bit just because of how much water I've been using. And it will solidify again properly once it's like fully dry, but underneath, whilst it's dry on top, it's not actually dry underneath, which isn't really too much of a surprise. So I'm going to add just a little bit of this blue, just because now that it's coming in, it kind of needed to darken. Now back to our Conte. I like being really scrawly and just like that. Just gives us green but not over the top. And then we get these little white lighter lines of the pink, which is the sand, the wet sand coming through. I know, we'll be rocking on the rock, so I'm not too fussed. And then as we come this way is where we get our other blue coming in, which is our red blue. See, a lot of colours goes into the sea, not just little bits, even though it'd be nice if it was, but no, wouldn't have it any other way. And this is where we follow this curve. This is the water side of the curve. Remember, there's 3 sections to this curve. You've got where the water meets the land, which is where I'm doing these lines here. Then you've got the wet sand, the tide line mark, and then the dry sand. So you've got a lot of stuff, shall we say. We had some interesting kind of ripples across the water. I don't know if it's really ripples or just just the wind, but I think it was kind of like movement ripples, because obviously there's a river joining the sea, so just trying to look at what bits need more, what bits need less, like that. Right, that's getting better. Very dark coloured fingers now. Okay, right. Back to this. And I'm going to go back to our sand colour. Now that we've got all these other colours underneath, we can carve where we want this to go. And we're going in opposite direction to the ripples. So we're going diagonally that way, the ripples are going that way, and the sea's kind of going diagonally that way. The rocks are then going up, that's going across, and the clouds are kind of going diagonally up as well. So you've got lots of interest to keep you going. Yeah, this is where the wet sand is. You can see some of the rest of the sand through it, so just having some fun getting those lines in there. This kind of comes out quite a bit before it comes back in here. And then just like these lines, just give the sand life. Just want to soften that slightly. Alright, okay, so that's looking a lot better. A lot better. Now I need to start bringing this dark pink grey back in. So this is where our wet sand meets the sea. We also want some of this here. And also here, just the edges of where the silt is sitting. And the reason for that is the silt's not 100% sitting in a circle like that. It just, you want to give yourself some interest. And then, oh yeah, this swept this way, didn't it? I've kind of gone astray, but actually, no, that works better like that. I'll just add some of these lines as well. Better. Now, the sea, there were waves on it, and I kind of put them in the muted pink grey tone in the sketch on the water, and it just didn't work. And I know, realistically, the only way I'm going to do this is with this. Like that. Doesn't need to be much, it just needed to be a little bit. Okay, kind of like that. I like this as well, but I feel like we're missing a few things, and I know realistically I need to bring this back in because I need this dexterous line here. See, as that comes off that way, this thing kind of goes like that this way. Yeah, these kind of go up like that. See, I didn't want to do too much work on the cliffs because there's such a statement as it is that what you don't want is too much detail kind of taking over. She says as she puts loads of details in. I'm not, honestly. And then we've got this bit. Bear in mind, as we already said, we want the darkest bits at the bottom. I just want to map out where that pool silt is. And then so we know it's darker on this side. Oh, okay, we like that. And we'll add some grey to this, and then my worry is am I gonna overdo this? No, actually, I like that. I don't know if I just stopped talking there, I just kind of tuned out while I was focusing. Sorry guys. I'll either have to play it back and watch myself and go, did I stop talking or not? Or you guys can tell me in the comments whether or not I just kind of disappeared into the ether. So yeah, we want lightest bits kind of on the top of these. Like that. Right, are we there? I think we are. I don't want to do too much. I like the kind of, I'm not going to say craziness that I've created there, but just how the lines have kind of just brought in some detail without being too detailed. I've not sat there and meticulously sketched out every single rock or every single crack and crevice on the rock face. I've given a suggestion, and the same with the clouds in the sky, and just given that sky something else to kind of interest rather than it just being a plain block of sky and a white cloud. I want you to be kind of looking at it and going, well, okay, so, you know, look at all these marks and these lines and these swirly lines, and, you know, the cloud has movement. How do you bring movement to what essentially is a split millisecond of an image in your head, and the same again taken on your phone and then brought to life? This is the best way to kind of just give it texture, give it movement, give it life. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I'm now going to use the heat gun for those that really hate the noise of it. I do. And I don't get a choice because I'm the one using it. We're going to take the tape off and see what we got. Should we do top or bottom? Let's do top. Right. You guys even still? Is that better? Yeah. Right, everybody, here is our finished piece. I don't know how straight that is. Hopefully it's relatively straight for you guys. Let me bring in the sketch. So here is our sketch and here is our finished painting. The yellow is not as vibrant, but I did want to push it back and just not romanticize it, but just not get it too much in your face and too dramatic with the contrast difference. So I really like how that turned out. I think the sea turned out a lot better than the other one in the sketch, so that's fine. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions whatsoever about what I'm using, the methods I'm using, anything like that, please just put it in the comments down below. Down below, and I will get back to you. Otherwise, enjoy your day, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you are. Right now it is 6 minutes past 5 in the evening. So I need to put dinner on before husband gets home. So I will see you all soon.